Hello everyone and welcome to another battle report of Infinity the game. This time without the webcam, instead of you can watch the Fuzili Rangus, because I figured some technical difficulties and I just could not be bothered by using my phone as a webcam. I decided to go full pro in YouTube and ordered a new webcam, so in some time there might be a better quality for my face, so stay tuned for that. Without further ado, I know that you come here not for me, but for the games I talk about, so let's just get straight into the business, right? We'll be playing round 2, Frostbyte, White Banner against Kestrel Colonial Force. It turned out this was not our choice on our side of the team. Our opponents decided to play White Banner into Kestrel on Frostbyte, which is fine, I guess. So, like I already mentioned in the previous video, if you're interested in me going over the list in detail, feel free to go and watch the game number 1. And this is basically a head carry show and yeah, the same list I've played the round before. So if you're interested, again, just go to the previous video. So let's just get into the opponent's list, and again this is redone from the memory. I'm like 70% sure on the models that were taken, not exactly sure on the groups, but it's kind of irrelevant for the story. So we start the usual White Banner stuff, Longia Miners, which are absent in previous game, the Gudan, which all the cool kids are taking nowadays, and the Hundun X-Visor for a neat Group 2 package for reactive turns. Then my opponent decided to go with the Mech Engineer and the Yao Zhao to revive the Longias. I also used to run the Mech Engineer for the Longias. I'm personally not entirely convinced whether this is a good call, particularly because the Longias are kinda one use. Once they fire off the Flammenspears and the Panzerfaust, they're pretty much worthless. So bringing them back with an engineer at that point is, kinda irrelevant. And at the same time, the biggest advantage the Longias provide to the list, as opposed to Total Reaction Bot, is not that they hit stuff, it's that they can hit stuff and they are camoed. Once the Longia is revealed, the threat it poses is significantly lower than when it's not revealed. And because of that, I kinda started not bringing the engineer to the game and not bringing the engineer with the Longias. So yeah, that's kinda me going over the experience. At that point, I think my opponent is still on the I'm bringing the Longias back, right? Because this is what I want to do. And there's a Jinko with the Shaolin Monks. This is a Harris, a really good order battery. If I remember correctly, my opponent split off one of the monks to the side and kept Jinko plus Shaolin duo. This is really good, particularly for the Frostbite, because Jinko is surviving the Frostbite, she pushes the button, she's good in CC, and all in all she got a good glow up because of the shock immunity, and I think she's a really solid piece in this game, and she was clutch as a little bit of spoiler. Then finally we have the fire team of Dokebi, Haetae, Hwarang, and the Jujek. I kinda mess up the order, but this is a 4-man fire team. It provides you a linked pitcher, a killer hacker, a loathsome guided option if you need, and Jujek with a heavy flamethrower and the firewall. So Dokebi with the firewall is a really good, but it's a hacker profile. So the Yamao is there to supplement the killer hacking potential. Personally, I would just go the other way around and do the Dokebi killer hacker and the Yamao regular hacker. And it actually might have been what my opponent brought, I'm not entirely sure, but basically it was not relevant. There was no hacking in the game whatsoever. Then finally there is a Gulang Lieutenant, there is SWC to spare, it's an extremely safe Lieutenant, and there is no other Lieutenant option to take other than I think Jujek, but then it would have no firewall. So yeah, I think rather decent, all in all standard White Banner list of a big fire team Group 1, supplemented by the Jinko, and then a really powerful Group 2 for reactive piece. So yeah, off to a good start from my opponent's side. If I remember, the opponent wins the Lieutenant role and decides to go first. I take the side which I think is better, and at least provides me ability to cover 2 consoles, because from this side there is like no way at all. Well, maybe those 2 consoles. But yeah, my opponent deploys first. There is the baggage bot, there is the Mech Engineer, the servant for the Mech Engineer, and there's the Longia number 1. The second Longia will be deployed somewhere-ish here as a reserve. Then the fire team is scattered around here. The hacker number 1, the Dokebi, then there is the Hwarang, the Jujek, and finally the Haetae. The Haetae is deployed very conservatively, which I think is a mistake, since these are 32 inch gunfighter, it should lead the way, it should engage first, it should be as close to me as possible, but my opponent for some reason really wants to hide the high tower and allows me to outrange it pretty much, which I think is a mistake on the deployment part. The deployment is kind of shitty. There are no really long fire lanes, except like this one. This is the only fire lane I could find in the game, so it's very cluttered. But the deployment zones are really shitty, and there is not much that you could deploy on. But the fire team wants to move forward anyways, so this is not a huge deal. The camo markers are deployed as far as possible. Sorry, this is the Longia number. Well, this Longia was deployed here, but it moved to this side. So, very aggressive deployment. My opponent is forced to, advance forward, and because this is a Frostbyte, technically round 2 favorite mission, then it's obviously a natural choice for him. This is my deployment. I start with my fire team. There is the Black Air, the infamous Black Air. It covers the middle, and again, like I said, it pretty much covers on this fire lane. Right, this is not a huge fire lane, but it covers the entrance to the middle. It does not see this way. Like, there is almost no fire lanes, maybe like long range. It has some line of fire here, but overall it's much more cluttered, stable than the previous one, right? Then there is the forward observer Fennec, ready to disco ball into the middle. Fennec, this is from Sapphire team. Trauma Dog next to the Doctor. Techbee for a long range fire lane, like covering the drop troopers. Then we have the duo of the Head Ktari and the Pathfinder, ready to advance into the middle or on this side. This is a cool table. I like the designs of a table in such a way that it provides you like 3 corridors. It kind of reminds me of the League of Legends or the Dota game, where you have 3 lanes, like top, middle and bottom. And then there's the Griffin, and with the Firefly next to it, and it has a fire lane for this console. So I'm looking this console, and I have to give up this one. The only thing I can do to stop this is use the blink, and here's the game plan, right? I know the head tire is deployed this way, and in order for the fire team to engage or like pitch into my fire team, they have to go through the middle, they have to go this way. So the blink is deployed here, ready to splash it. My idea is that I will splash the Dokebi and stop the pitcher from going off, therefore saving my blink from ever getting guided off. Jinko against the head carry would have to fight outside of 16, so I'm quite confident that the Griffin will hold his own. So, like I basically predicted, my opponent starts advancing his fire team. They move as far as they could, but the Haetae and the Dokebi move in a single line. From my point of view, there is no way to shoot into any S2 models. Luckily, the Haetae is a bit bigger, so I shoot a rocket, I reveal the blink, and I shoot the rocket into the Haetae and splash the Dokebi. I manage to hit, but I take 1 wound of the Dokebi and 1 wound of the Haetae. Then the Haetae engages the blink again, while moving out of line of fire. The blink connects, but fails to wound it, and that's it. That basically stops the interaction. However, my opponent no longer can proceed through the middle due to blink, so he can no longer pitch into my fire team. So instead, he pitches into the middle, pitches like behind this terrain, uses the disco baller to block the middle, and successfully pushes those 2 battles, locking me out of the points. And the fire team ends up somewhere around here. The Longia tries to maneuver this position, moves here, reveals and shoots the blink. We both, like, nothing happens. I kinda hit, but yeah, it saves. So, like I said, the blink reveals, shoots the Haetae, they get advanced forward, and nothing really happens except taking 2 wounds off. So, then it's over to my turn. And yeah, we start strong by removing this Longia. The easiest or the best way is to basically take this Black Air, move him to the left, prompt this Longia to reveal, try to bait it, but my opponent does not bite and does not take the fight. I then shoot into the Longia, 2 dice against 1 dice, Black Air is still a sniper rifle that's mimetic. I land 1 shot and knock out the Longia. Then I start by maneuvering my Pathfinder bot and the remote to the middle, and here's what I do. I cannot really engage the Longias, or rather I would need to spend quite a few orders to discover it, and it would all be dicey, so I take the most brutal solution and just run the sensor bot through the gap and force my opponent to either take a free shot with the Panzerfaust or allow me to freely discover him on a 13. My opponent bites, takes the shot and puts the Pathfinder unconscious. This allows the black hair to go back, take the fight against the Longia. It's outside of 32 and I promptly knock out the other Longia. So at this point those are the casualties. Then we start engaging the fire team that's located in the middle. Griffin and the Firefly. First the Firefly moves behind this thingy. I deactivate the pitcher. The spotlight fails to land, like failed whip check. The Firefly then retreats and the Griffin moves into the spot where the pitcher was. I shoot the Dukebi, I delete it, and no, there's no possibility of spotlights. I engage into the Huarang. And it's inconclusive. Well, no, sorry, I think I just KO the Huarang with a Fuerbach at 0 range, something like that. This opens up the head carry, so the head carry starts running here, gets onto the ladder, moves to here, and I try to engage both Yamao and the Jujak. I engage them, I take 1 wound, fail to do anything, but I get the Yamao to turn towards me with a dodge. This opens up a Banshee. Banshee comes in, shoots the Yamao in the back, deletes it, and then the head carry tries 1 more time. The Jujak flamers me, I Imar at the Jujak, I get it bricked, and tank the flamer save and retreat into the middle. So all in all, a very good turn. I feel really happy, but what I don't really see is that there's a Jinko located here, and this will be very problematic to me. So this is the run with the head carry. This guy is knocked out, the Dokkaebi is dead, the Jujak is isolated, then the Banshee wasn't able to knock out the Yamao. So out of the entire fire team, there is only Hayata left behind this building, and the Jujak is bricked. Head carry is in a very dominant position, it's in the middle, and it's very difficult to dig out from my opponent. Black hair is still not contributing anything, and it's up to my opponent to do something about it. Oh, sorry. And the Jinko delivers. Jinko and the monk run out to this gap. The monk moves like in such a way, give or take, and they sneak up with 1 cautious move. They sneak around this. Jinko then shoots the baggage bot, shoots the flash pulse bot, moves to this position and deletes the Firefly engineer, shooting it like out of cover, and then it takes a fight against the Griffin. At that point the Jinko has 2 more orders, so it definitely is possible for the Jinko to delete the Griffin, but after, you know, Griffin just says nah, I win, and just crits the Jinko off the table. So that ends the Jinko run, very lucky for me. And then the monk suicides into the Palbot to secure the Predator card, and the Griffin just promptly deleted. So this was very dangerous, very scary, and this is because the black hair from this building has no line of fire here, right? The blink has no line of fire here. So this is completely unprotected due to how the table is set up, and Jinko could very well maneuver into my backline, and if not for the crit, it could probably put down the Griffin, and this would be a dangerous position because of the Frostbyte, and the Hayata versus Hectari is pretty close in points, right? So it's up to me, my turn 2. What I pretty much do is I speedball next to the Griffin. The Griffin moves in, revives the sensor bot. The sensor bot then just runs up here, pushes the final console, starting the heater in my deployment zone. Then the Banshee makes a play for a Hataya, fails the Yamabushi from here. So the sensor bot moves here, pushes the button, oops, here, and yeah, then the Yamabushi starts moving here, engages the Jujak, which, you know, Hundun reveals we both delete each other. So the Jujak is down, the Yamabushi is down, and I cannot see the Hundun, like there is no line of fire here. So the Banshee engages here and tries combination of SMG shots and a pulsar to take on the Hataya. It completely fails. Hataya is just too strong for that. FS 14 is just too much for me to handle. So there is the Banshee, and I ended up with my turn by just moving the blacker, like you seen to this spot, and the blacker sees the high tire if it activates. So it's up to my opponent's turn 3, and it's pretty much all on head tire. Head tire activates and fights the Banshee in close combat. Blacker shoots. High tire kills the Banshee, and blacker just hits the head tire. It's shooting into combat on like 7th, give or take. I one land hit with double action and puts the head tire down. At that point, my opponent does nothing really on the table to play with the mission. For funsies, the Hundun tries to take the fight against the blacker and dies. And it's pretty much Guilang trying to salvage some situation, runs entirety of the table to try and take on the Griffin. Takes the fight against the Griffin. Well, I think it just moves and takes the fight against the Griffin, but Griffin just takes 1 wound. And I just move the Fennec Fusilier to take the fight against the Gulag, and in like 2 rounds of combi shooting I just put him down. And it seals the game, because then the Griffin is free to move into the zone, secures the zone with the Hectari for a clean win. And I also secure HVT with the sensor bot, so its final result is like something 7-3, because I don't have the heaters, and there's no way for me to destroy my opponent's heaters, because both Banshee and the Firefly Dionysos of Engineer, the charges, are dead. So at that point we're 2-0 with the white banners, and yeah, I think this is like a game where again it shows how we can try the blink plus the black hair combo in action, and yeah, there's not really much to talk about. It was clean, kinda back and forth, but I think still in the control of the Kestrel for Colonial Force. Thanks again for everyone's watching, and again shout out to my opponent, who was a really good sport throughout the game, and I really enjoyed myself. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye!